All right, so after having had a day to really rethink this, because oh boy, saying this right off the get go is probably gonna get me killed. Whenever the manga came out for like this whole section, not related to like what's happening to the other areas, which I will get to first, but the whole Bakugo being revived and actually matching up against All for One, that was probably where I was kind of just empathy, just completely unable to really say, okay, this is fun. No, I was like, this is such horse shit. How is Bakugo able to go toe to toe with All for One? And how is the revival so fucking stupid and all this other stuff? How his whole thing of he was the only one that was able to revive himself. That whole aspect was honestly so baffling to me. But seeing it here, does that really change my mind on it? No, but I will say Bakugo cooking All for One visually, I might have a different opinion on that matter now because it looks stunning. It just looks Bakugo-esque, and I have a lot of thoughts on that. Clearly, I've never liked Bakugo. I think he's overhyped to hell, but I will respect him. Dude actually redeemed himself. Because let's keep this in mind. At the beginning of season 1, the beginning of My Hero Academia, what happens? He gets captured and he is nearly killed, and it took All Might to essentially save him. Right here, just as All For One is about to kill All Might and completely make a literal history mark, because that would quite literally destroy everyone, Bakugo comes in. Clearly alone, he cannot save All Might, so he uses Deku as an assistant, so Deku using Gear Shift on him, and he's able to essentially push himself beyond his limits to save All Might. And I like that All For One's hands are destroyed. It literally gives me Demon Slayer vibes. And yeah, All For One is kind of baffled by this, because he fears Bakugo. Bakugo reminds him a lot of Kudo, the second user of One For All. We will get to that in a bit, because it's going to take us a bit to get to. But All Might, I mean, his fate was altered. I mean, yeah, he's talking to a hallucination of Sir Night Eye and essentially questioning, like, wasn't he supposed to meet a gruesome end? And yeah, Sir Night Eye basically does confirm that. Like, it's the fact that we're going back to season 4 territory of All Might's fate. It's the fact that Sir Night Eye was not going to recognize All For One, especially the form that he's taking right now. So he clearly views it as a very dangerous villain. But he saw Deku's fate too. And Deku's fate was changed. Now, whether or not this is because Deku defied literal fate itself, or was through other means, is irrelevant, because that just causes a whole unnecessary conversation. But we know that it took a lot more than just wishful thinking. It took every bit of Deku and Bakugo in order to be able to save All Might from his essential fate of dying. And yeah, All Might and Bakugo have a genuine like moment. There is Edge Shot, which I still think it's bullshit how he was able to save Bakugo, because if I'm not mistaken, his heart was literally blown off, or partial part of it. To sew that up together, and Bakugo's whole thing, it's all stupid. That I will never get over how fucking stupid that is. It is genuine plot armor for not even the main character. Like, yes, Bakugo is a main character status, but he's not the main character, which that'll be more of a different video. But I will say the visuals are still pretty cool, and seeing Bakugo like get a handshake from All Might, and All Might essentially giving him the last piece of armor tech he has and give it to Bakugo, and Bakugo having a genuinely heartwarming smile actually gives me a nice smile on my own face, because it is one of the more wholesome ones. It's not a cocky smile, it's not a confident, no, it's just genuine happiness, which is rare to see Bakugo with. And yeah, dude starts like moving ridiculously fast. I do find Edshot's comments interesting that Bakugo did outblitz Shigaraki, and he was about to find something out, like figure out how that happened, how he evolved as this quirk. However, he got obviously killed. But now he's pressuring All For One. Now, there are obviously other sections with the other heroes, and I feel bad for, like, a few of the classmates. Because, yeah, we have a lot of them that have been taken care of. So unless the anime does some kind of anime-only section where we get to see the others do stuff, we're probably just going to see the aftermath of their fights. And that kind of sucks, because one of the things about My Hero Academia is the Class 1A, each one of them gets something to do. And unfortunately, a lot of them don't really have much to do outside of, like, you know, the practice stuff, the tests, and I guess the final war, or the first war arc. This one, it's more like Horikoshi was pressed for time and he had to start skipping parts. Even though he had a deadline, he passed that deadline, which is what Lone Star has been bitching for a lot of the time. But then obviously started speeding up. Like, I feel like the complaints were, this is taking too long. And then once he started speeding up, it's like, hold the phone. This is going way too fast. And it's like, you got one or the other. So, yeah, unfortunately, this is where I think everything's going to start going like 1,000% fast. But that's a different problem for, like, the season, should that happen. As for this episode, in regards to now focusing on how All For One is clearly mad because his whole grand scheme that he had concocted and the whole infinite routes to reach one area all went to hell. Like, Shigaraki was able to outpower the All For One within him. Then there's, like, all of the pebbles, or that he would consider every single person. So he is super mad that he's been pushed to this point where he is barely able to actually get to his own goal. And then Bakugo coming in and just... Because Bakugo's whole thing is that the pain is essentially something that helps push his explosions beyond the limit. So although he's able to go kind of crazy and beyond the literal speed of what All For One can do, he is also having to do the side effects of just being in constant pain. Which, I mean, it's a trade-off. And dude just popping up and All For One just looking mad as hell is pretty damn cool. And obviously Bakugo just cooking him. We get to see Bakugo's parents with, obviously, the dad just worried to hell about his son. And then, like, the mother saying, no, you have to look. We know Bakugo, he has that grin on his face, which, I mean, it's Bakugo is the side of All Might of just refusing to lose. And then there is a cool shot with literally all four of them. Shigaraki, Deku, Bakugo, and All For One. Like, the final contenders of this entire series. And, like, there's so many moments of just Bakugo's speed being absurd and him, like, actually pressing All For One to the point that he names him the second user of One For All, because that is who All For One really hates. He does hate All Might. That is a certainty, because All Might was the one who truly stopped him at his tracks and obviously fucked them up. But he hates Kudo. He hates that person specifically because he was the catalyst for his brother escaping, for everything essentially going to shit. It took years to get to that point, but this one person that he's being reminded through Bakugo was the catalyst for his entire downfall. And he calls Bakugo that, and Bakugo obviously reclaims, like, is he an idiot? Like, I'm Bakugo. I'm Kachan Bakugo. And it's like, it's a funny way to end it with just Bakugo being cocky as hell. And honestly, this is the first time I genuinely am excited for Bakugo's cockiness. Like, we know he's about to cook All For One, but, okay. Bias this aside, because I still obviously hate the whole reviving him and shit, because that's a whole different problem. I will still give this episode a 10 out of 10, only due to the fact that I genuinely think we've come full circle for Bakugo. At the beginning of the series, he was such a cocky bastard who obviously got himself shut down whenever Deku tried to save him, and then All Might had to save him. Then Season 3, that he got captured, and he ended up blaming himself that All Might retired, so he had that guilt weighing on him that he ended All Might. And now, we have him essentially having to continue on All Might's fight against All For One, and being the one who's going to defeat the literal threat of the whole world, because All For One is the big threat, with Shigaraki just being obviously just more of a menace than someone who wants to conquer the world. So, that is more Deku's fight. Bakugo versus All For One. That is the final fight for Bakugo, just to show that he has reached All Might levels. And honestly, I'm down for that. I'm genuinely down. But overall, I mean, fun episode. Still a few little bullshits here and there, but it is what it is.